I was 18, angry, and kicked out of my own home. My sister. She cried one fake tear and everyone believed her. But don't worry, I got my turn. This is how I took my life back. If you told me a year ago that my sister would be the reason I'd be sleeping on a friend's couch with nothing but a trash bag of clothes, I'd have laughed in your face. Back then I was 18, just graduated and still living at home. Well, my mom's house technically. I had a part-time job at a smoothie bar and dreams bigger than our rundown living room. College was just a few months away, and I was saving every penny. Things weren't perfect, but they were manageable. The real problem, the one I pretended didn't exist, had a name. Amber. My sister. Amber is only a year older than me, but she acts like she's royalty and I'm the dirt under her heels. Growing up, people used to say we looked alike. Same dark curls, same stubborn jaw. But that's where the similarities ended. Where I was quiet, she was loud. Where I tried to follow the rules, she knew how to twist them until they broke. And somehow, she always came out looking like the victim, or worse, the golden child. Our mom never saw it. Or maybe she chose not to. Amber could lie through her teeth with a straight face. And Mom would hand her the benefit of the doubt like it was candy. Meanwhile, if I so much as raised my voice, I was being dramatic or disrespectful. Still, I stayed out of her way. I didn't need the attention. I just wanted to make it through the summer without any major drama. I should have known better. Because Amber wasn't content with her own spotlight. She needed to dim mine to make hers shine brighter. The signs were there. Little things. She'd borrow my clothes without asking, then blame me when they came back stained or ripped. She'd whisper things to Mom when I left the room, then suddenly I'd be in trouble for something I didn't even know I did. She once convinced a guy I liked that I was talking behind his back. I laughed it off, shrugged it away, told myself she was just being a sister. But sisters don't destroy your life on purpose. Not unless they want to. And Amber. She wanted to. She cried, and that was enough. My mom believed her tears more than she believed my truth. It started with $300. I had it hidden in a little envelope in the bottom drawer of my dresser. Tips and paychecks I'd been stashing away for college deposits and move-out expenses. I counted every single dollar like it was gold. 'Cause to me it was. One afternoon I came home from work and opened the drawer out of habit. The envelope was gone. Just gone. I tore my whole room apart. I even checked behind the dresser and under my bed like maybe I'd moved it and forgotten, though I knew I hadn't. Amber walked in mid-panic, chewing gum and scrolling through her phone. When I told her someone stole my money, she blinked once and said, "Wow, that sucks." Then she walked out like it was no big deal. But I knew. I didn't have proof, but I knew. Had to be her. No one else came into my room, and Mom had no reason to touch my things. Amber, on the other hand, had been complaining for days about needing new clothes for a beach trip her friend's family was taking her on. When Mom told her we couldn't afford it, she pouted for hours and gave me the silent treatment like it was somehow my fault. I confronted her later that night. Not yelling, not accusing, just trying to talk. "Amber, just be honest. Did you take it?" Her face twisted like I'd slapped her. "Are you serious right now? You think I'd steal from you? You're actually insane." We were arguing in the hallway when Mom walked in, bathrobe and all. I tried to explain, but Amber's voice cracked, and the tears started flowing. She told Mom I'd been acting paranoid for weeks, that I was obsessed with her, that I was making stuff up just to start drama. "She's been getting scary, Mom," she sniffled. "I'm honestly afraid to be in the house with her." That was all it took. My mom turned to me with that disappointed look that makes your stomach drop. "You need to calm down. This isn't healthy. I think maybe you should go stay with someone else for a while. Just until you sort yourself out." Sort myself out. I was standing there, watching my sister lie through her teeth, and my own mother looked at me like I was a stranger who'd crossed a line. I tried to defend myself. Begged. Cried. But Amber had beat me to it, and her tears were louder than my truth. 2 hours later, I was stuffing clothes into a trash bag, shaking with rage and humiliation. Mom didn't even offer to help. She just stood in the doorway with her arms crossed like I was some delinquent they were finally kicking out. The worst part. Amber stood behind her, smirking. Not full-on smiling, just that tiny satisfied curve of her lips that said, "I won." I left that night with nowhere to go. My friend Jess let me crash on her couch. No questions, no judgment. Just a blanket and a place to breathe. I sat there for hours, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together how everything had gone so wrong so fast. I thought maybe Mom would call. Maybe she'd think about it and realize she'd made a mistake. She didn't. For days, nothing. No text. No voicemails. I was erased, replaced by the version of me Amber invented. A bitter, unstable girl who made up stories to tear down her sweet sister. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a one-time lie. This was who Amber had always been. Manipulative. Calculated. Always finding a way to twist things in her favor. And I'd spent years letting her get away with it, thinking someday she'd grow out of it. She never did. She just got better at hiding it. The girl who smiled in family photos and stole from her sister in secret. The girl who pushed me out of my own home and made it look like I did it to myself. Some nights I'd walk past warm, lit homes and wonder if any of them had a place for a girl no one believed. That first week after I left home was a blur. I stayed with Jess, my best friend since 6th grade. Her parents were kind, but it was clear I was a guest, not family. I tried to be invisible, kept my stuff in a corner of the living room, folded the blankets every morning, made myself useful when I could. But no matter how much I smiled or thanked them, I could feel it. I didn't belong. I was working 3 days a week at the smoothie bar, but it wasn't enough. Rent, food, gas, it all added up faster than I thought. Jess offered to cover some things, but I couldn't let her. I hated the idea of depending on anyone, especially after what just happened. So I picked up a second job bussing tables at a diner. Nights and weekends. It was exhausting, greasy, and thankless. But it was money. And I needed every dollar. School was supposed to start in September. I'd gotten into a local community college and was supposed to live at home while attending. That plan obviously went up in smoke. I pushed my start date back a semester, telling myself I'd re-enroll once I had a steady place to live and enough saved for books and tuition. But it still felt like I was falling behind while everyone else moved forward. I cried in more bathrooms than I cared to admit. Tiny, echoing spaces where I could finally breathe without holding it all in. I'd scroll through social media and see Amber posting selfies in our backyard, laughing like nothing had happened. Birthday cake, movie nights, dinners out. She got to keep the life I lost. There were nights I skipped meals just to make sure I had enough gas to get to work. Other nights, I'd microwave a bowl of instant noodles in a chipped mug and eat in silence while Jess and her family had dinner around the corner. I wasn't part of the conversation anymore. I wasn't part of any conversation. But even in the thick of it, I refused to give up. I opened a separate savings account and started putting away whatever I could. Tips, spare change, even a $5 bill Jess slipped into my bag one day. I tracked every cent on a notes app, color-coded and meticulous. It gave me a sliver of control and I clung to it. Eventually, I found a small room for rent in someone's basement. It was barely wider than a closet and smelled like mildew when it rained. But it was mine. I paid cash, kept to myself, and worked like hell. I started picking up extra shifts, and even got offered more responsibilities at the smoothie shop. My manager said I was reliable. That word hit harder than she probably realized. Reliable. Not crazy. Not a liar. Just dependable. The little victories started to add up. I bought my own dishes from a thrift store. I learned how to fix a leaking faucet with a YouTube video. I budgeted enough to buy real groceries. Actual vegetables, even if they were frozen. I stopped crying every night. Only every other. Somewhere in the quiet grind of survival, I started becoming someone new. Stronger. Smarter. Sharper. I still carried the hurt, the betrayal, the disbelief that my own mother could turn her back on me over a lie. But I also carried myself with pride for once. And then one afternoon, while wiping down tables at the diner, I overheard two girls talking in the booth behind me. One of them went to my old high school. She said Amber had been bragging about how she handled things at home, about how easy it was to get rid of her. I froze, coffee pot still in my hand. I thought I'd let it go. I thought I was done needing closure. But hearing that she was proud of what she did, that was the moment something in me shifted. I wasn't going to just survive anymore. I was going to make sure she never did that to anyone again. She didn't just push me out, she built her whole life on lies. I just decided to tell the truth. It happened on a slow Tuesday at the smoothie bar. I was cleaning out the fridge when I heard a familiar voice order a strawberry banana blend at the counter. I peeked through the swinging door, and there she was, Lena, Amber's old best friend. The one who used to practically live at our house until one day she just vanished. I didn't think she'd recognize me. My hair was shorter now, my hoodie 2 sizes too big. But as I rang her up, she tilted her head and said, "Wait, aren't you Amber's sister?" I forced a smile. "Used to be." Lena laughed, and not in a friendly way. "Yeah, I heard about that. She's been telling everyone you lost it. Said you were always jealous of her." Something in my chest tightened, but I stayed quiet. I handed her the receipt and said, "I guess people believe what they want to." She looked at me for a long second before saying, "She's not as smart as she thinks, you know. She's been lying to everyone. Always has." I blinked. "What do you mean?" Lena leaned closer, lowering her voice. "She told her boyfriend you cheated with him just so she could break you two up. And she's been stealing from your mom's wallet for years. Last summer, she said she needed cash for textbooks but bought concert tickets with it." I stared at her, stunned. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" She shrugged, biting her straw. "Because Amber's the kind of person who burns you if you try. She made up rumors about me after I called her out. That's why we stopped being friends. Honestly, I'm surprised it took you this long." When she walked out, smoothie in hand, she left behind more than just gossip. She gave me something I hadn't felt in months: clarity. Amber wasn't untouchable. She wasn't some master manipulator no one saw through. People knew who she really was. They were just afraid to say it. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I didn't want revenge just to get even. This wasn't about payback, it was about finally being heard. About making sure the truth had a voice, even if mine had been ignored for too long. So I started small. I made a list of people who knew things. Old friends, mutual acquaintances, even a cousin who once told me Amber had stolen her necklace and blamed it on a neighbor. I started reaching out, asking questions, keeping notes. Screenshots, texts, receipts. She thought she'd erased me, rewritten me into some crazy villain in her perfect little script. But what Amber didn't know, I remembered everything. And I was done staying quiet. All I did was send one email. The rest, she did to herself. Once I decided I wasn't going to let Amber get away with it, everything fell into place faster than I expected. It wasn't even about revenge anymore. It was about justice. About letting the truth do what it does best: come to light. The first thing I did was get organized. I made a folder on my laptop, labeled it, "For when she finally breaks." Inside, I dropped screenshots, voice memos, and notes from the people who had quietly reached out to me since I left. Turns out, Amber had a long trail of scorched friendships and shady behavior behind her. People were just waiting for someone brave enough to call her out. Lena sent me old texts from Amber bragging about manipulating our mom. One read, "If I cry, she folds like a lawn chair. So easy." There were others. Messages about stealing money, cheating on her boyfriend, even mocking me after I was kicked out. Then there was our cousin Rachel, who sent me a picture of the necklace Amber stole at a family barbecue years ago. She said she found it at a thrift store, Rachel wrote. But I knew it was mine. I just didn't want the drama. I reached out to Mrs. Collins, our neighbor who Amber once claimed caught me sneaking out at night. Mrs. Collins remembered the incident, and remembered very clearly that it was Amber she saw, not me. Piece by piece I built the case. Quietly, patiently. No dramatic confrontations. No screaming matches. That's how Amber operated. Big, messy distractions that made people feel too exhausted to dig deeper. I did the opposite. I let the truth sit. Let it settle. Then I sent one email. It went to my mom. No subject line. Just a few screenshots and a short message. I didn't leave because I was unstable. I left because you believed her lies. I thought you should see what she really thinks of you. I didn't expect a response. And for 2 days I didn't get one. But then Mom called. I let it ring the first time. I didn't have anything left to say to a woman who chose Amber's tears over my voice. The second time I picked up, her voice cracked before she even got a full sentence out. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just said, "You didn't want to know." And I meant it. From there, everything unraveled fast. Mom confronted Amber about the messages. Amber, of course, denied everything, until Mom showed her the screenshots. The ones with the timestamps and the matching phone number. The ones Lena swore were real. Amber went ballistic. Threw a glass. Screamed that we were ganging up on her. She tried to spin it like always. Claimed I hacked her phone, that I was jealous, that I was sick. But this time it didn't work. People had seen the truth for themselves. Mom didn't throw her out. Not yet, but things shifted. She didn't get away with the lies as easily. Suddenly people started calling her out. Friends stopped texting. Her boyfriend dumped her after seeing the messages about cheating. Even the aunt who always took her side stopped inviting her to brunch. Amber tried damage control, of course. Posted a long story on Instagram about how she was betrayed by family and surrounded by haters. But it rang hollow. She looked desperate. And I didn't say a word. I just kept working, saving, and living. I started classes in the spring. Paid my own tuition. Paid my rent. I even smiled for real again. The best part. I didn't need to destroy her. She did that all on her own. All I did was pull back the curtain and let people see. For years, she spun her web of lies, thinking she was untouchable. But lies are loud, messy things. They unravel if you tug at the right thread. And I just knew where to pull. She stood there, mouth open, eyes wild, and I felt nothing but peace. It happened on a Sunday. Mom called again. This time her voice wasn't shaking. It was calm. Serious. "I need you to come over," she said. "I think we all need to talk." Part of me didn't want to. Part of me was still that girl with a trash bag of clothes, crying in Jess's car, wondering how her life fell apart in one night. But a bigger part of me, the woman I had become, wanted to look Amber in the eye and let her know I wasn't afraid anymore. I walked into the house like a stranger, but it didn't feel like home anyway. Amber was already there, arms crossed, jaw tight, pacing like a cornered animal. Mom sat at the kitchen table, phone face down, eyes red but clear. Not tears of confusion this time. More like clarity that burned. Dad was there too, which was surprising. He usually stayed out of these things, always too tired or not getting involved. But not this time. "Sit," Mom said. Her tone wasn't soft. It was final. Amber looked at me like I was dirt on her shoe. "This is ridiculous. Are we seriously doing this?" Mom didn't flinch. "We've already done it. I saw the texts, Amber. I talked to Lena. I talked to Rachel. I talked to Mrs. Collins." Amber scoffed, tossing her hair. "So you believe a bunch of bitter girls over your own daughter?" "I believe what's in front of me," Mom said. "And what's in front of me is a pattern of lies, manipulation, stealing, and hurting people who trusted you." Amber turned to me, her voice rising. "This is your fault. You've been obsessed with ruining my life ever since you left." I didn't say anything. Not yet. She looked to Dad for backup. "You're just going to let her twist everything. What about everything she did?" Dad shook his head. "Amber, enough. We were wrong. I was wrong to believe you over her. And now you're caught." She opened her mouth to argue again, but I stood. This time I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even raise my voice. "I lost everything because of you," I said. "My home. my trust, my family. And you didn't care. You watched me leave with nothing while you stayed here and laughed about it. But the worst part isn't what you did. It's that you never thought you'd be held accountable. Amber stared at me like she didn't recognize me anymore. Do you want to know what saved me? Said. Not revenge. Not anger. The truth. You built your life on lies, and I just told the truth. That's all it took. Mom looked down, ashamed. Dad nodded slowly. Amber didn't cry this time. She didn't scream. She just crumbled. Pack a bag, Mom said softly. You're going to your aunt's for a while. You need to think about what you've done and how you fix it. If you can fix it. Amber turned, stunned. You're kicking me out. No, Mom said. You did that to yourself. I stepped out onto the porch while she gathered her things. The air was cooler than I remembered. Cleaner. Lighter. She passed me on the way out, still defiant but hollow behind the eyes. She didn't say a word. And me. I stood there, mouth closed, eyes steady, and I felt nothing but peace. I didn't do it to hurt her. I did it to finally breathe again. It's been 8 months since that day on the porch. Since the truth spilled out and Amber's perfect little world cracked open. Since I finally stood my ground and refused to be the villain in her story. Life isn't perfect now, but it's mine. I'm in my 2nd semester at community college, working toward a degree in psychology. Funny, right? Maybe I want to understand how people like Amber work. How someone can lie so easily, so completely, and still sleep at night. Or maybe I just want to understand myself. I've got a part-time job at a bookstore that smells like ink and old wood. I rent a tiny studio above a bakery, and every morning smells like cinnamon. I have a plant I haven't killed, a second-hand couch that sinks in the middle, and a front door that locks from the inside. I've never felt safer. Mom calls sometimes. She's trying in her own quiet way. She asked if I'd come home for Sunday dinner. I said I'd think about it. I haven't seen Amber since the day she left. She texted once, something vague like, "Hope you're good," but I never answered. Not out of hate. Just because I'm not ready. Or maybe I am and I just don't owe her anything anymore. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a process. And right now I'm still in the middle of it. But here's what I have done. I've let go of the guilt. The shame. The idea that I needed to shrink so someone else could shine. I've let go of the version of myself who believed she was disposable. I walk differently now. Fraider. Like someone who knows what she survived. 'Cause I do. Amber thought kicking me out would erase me. Instead, it forced me to become someone I never knew I could be. Not bitter. Not broken. Just free. And in the end, I didn't expose her to punish her. I exposed her because I couldn't keep carrying the weight of her lies. I did it to breathe again. And finally I can. Getting kicked out hurt. It shattered everything I thought I could count on. Family, love, truth. But it also stripped me down to the bones of who I really am. And from there I rebuilt. Stronger. Smarter. Quieter maybe. But only because I've learned that strength doesn't always shout. When I came back a year later, it wasn't for revenge. It was to reclaim my story. And I didn't need anyone's permission to do it. I'm not the same girl my sister betrayed. I'm the woman who walked through the fire and came out clean. I still am. Not every ending is fair. But every ending is a new beginning. And this time it's mine. Thanks for listening. If this story moved you, leave a like, subscribe and stay tuned. Because healing starts with being heard.